Oh, Santa Claus, you can take your time this year. Can't you make this holiday last a little longer? Oh, Santa Claus, that's the wish I hope you'll hear. So load your gifts upon your sleigh, but wait a little longer. 'Cause I need more mistletoe and falling snow, family by the tree, more Christmas lights and frosty nights. More time is what I need, Santa Claus. It won't be long till you appear, unless you make this season stay around a little longer. Around when I'm in town, they mean so much to me. More Yuletides by the fireside. Won't you help me please, Santa Claus? Though the hour's drawing near, the date that ends this holiday, I have faith that you'll find a way to make this Christmas last a little longer.
Good evening and welcome. Welcome to First Parish in Cambridge. Welcome to Lights of Hope and Joy, Christmas Eve with First Parish in Cambridge. My name is Reverend Adam Lawrence Dyer, and it is such a pleasure to have you here this evening for this joyous occasion. This is a year like no other, and it is definitely a Christmas Eve like no other. Through the miracle of technology, we're able to be together, although not the same way that we have been together in the past. It's hard. In a year of loss, of change, of adjustment, of reckoning, we're being asked even now, in a time that should be about family and simple joys, to be very different than we have been before. But you know what? We can do this. We've gathered a wonderful group of folks who are going to take us through all of our traditional Christmas cheer together, and we've even brought in some new people and elements as well. It will also come together at the end with our annual ceremony of light, lights of hope and joy. And we want you to participate in it. So be sure to have a candle ready so that you can participate and be part of the picture. Before we get started, however, just a couple of quick technical notes. I want to let everyone know that we are recording this service so that folks who are unable to join us virtually are able to enjoy it as well down the line. If you're new to Zoom, welcome. Many of us have been getting used to this format, but I know that it can feel uncomfortable and unfamiliar even when it's old hat. I've told the team tonight that we all need to be a little patient. Myself included. Sometimes the sound won't work, sometimes the image won't match, and it's okay. The important thing is that we're gathered together. For those of you who are used to Zoom, you'll notice that we are together tonight as a meeting as opposed to a webinar, which lets us see as many faces and names of the people you love and hold dear as possible. Although I will let you know that the chat feature is disabled for the moment, and I'll let you know more about that in a second. Also, you have a few options as to how to view this evening's experience. You can either use the gallery view setting, which lets you see lots of different screens all at once, or the speaker view setting, where you'll see the one person who's speaking at a time. Thanks to the technical wizardry of Leo Perez-Loind, who is running our meeting this evening, each time one of our wonderful speakers is sharing, they will automatically be spotlighted, as I am right now, so that you can clearly know who is sharing. When it comes time for the ceremony of light, I'll remind you to switch to gallery view, so that you can be part of all the other lights in the screens if you so choose. Throughout this evening, only the speakers will be unmuted, and as I said before, the chat will be disabled for most of the service so that you can stay connected to our journey together. We will open the chat briefly for offers of prayers and thoughts after my homily, and then again at the very end of our time together so that folks have a chance to connect. Well, I think that's about enough of me for now. So if you've got a candle handy and ready, get comfortable, sit back, and enjoy Lights of Hope and Joy, Christmas Eve at First Parish in Cambridge. Welcome.
Let us be still in the darkness of our sacred space and listen to the quiet around us. For even in the quiet, there is the gentle being with others. Let us feel the warmth of our community, knowing we are not alone. For in the quiet shadow is the glow of life within all. Let us know in the darkness the gift each candle bears, a small flame, a diminutive light, yet the wondrous gift to kindle another's glow. Let us be in awe at this moment as we each take up the flame, and the light envelops this room as hope for peace and goodwill fill this night. So may it be. Please join us in our first carol, O Come All Ye Faithful.
Place in this group.
Now, a reading from the book of Matthew, chapter 1, verses 18 to 25. The birth of Jesus the Messiah. Now, the birth of Jesus the Messiah took place in this way. When his mother Mary had been engaged to Joseph, but before they lived together, she was found to be with child from the Holy Spirit. Her husband Joseph, being a righteous man and unwilling to expose her to public disgrace, planned to dismiss her quietly. But just when he had resolved to do this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, "Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, for the child conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins." All this took place to fulfill what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet. "Look, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall name him Emmanuel," which means God is with us. When Joseph awoke from sleep, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. He took her as his wife, but had no marital relations with her until she had borne a son, and he named him Jesus.
A reading from the book of Luke, chapter 2, verses 8 to 19, the shepherds and the angels. In that region, there were shepherds living in the fields, watching over their flock by night. Then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid, for see, I bring you good news of great joy for all the people. To you this day, in the city of David, is born a Savior, who is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign for you. You will find a child wrapped in bands of cloth and lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace among whom he favors." Then when the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." And so they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. And when they saw this, they made known what had been told to them about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart.
reading from the book of Matthew, chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. The visit of the wise men. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet. And you, Bethlehem in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road.
Our final reading is from the book of Luke, chapter 1, verses 46 through 55, Mary's Song of Praise. And Mary said, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God, my Savior. For he has looked with favor on the lowliness of his servant. Surely from now on all generations will call me blessed. For the Mighty One has done great things for me, and holy is his name. His mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the powerful from their thrones and lifted up the lowly. He has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, according to the promise he made to our ancestors, to Abraham and to his descendants forever. Amen." And now I invite you to join us in singing our next hymn, Del Oriente Somos los Tres, We Three Kings.
Good evening, everyone. And tonight, a humanist reflection. When I was a kid, something extraordinary happened on this very night. Apollo 8, the first manned mission to leave the Earth's orbit and see the far side of the moon, entered lunar orbit on Christmas Eve in 1968. And that evening, the astronauts, Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and William Anders, held a live broadcast from lunar orbit. And they showed a photograph they had taken, one that's called Earthrise. It shows the Earth and part of the moon's surface taken from lunar orbit. And they framed it like this. In the foreground was the big moon, and coming up was a little tiny Earth. And they did that to shock us, to create the effect that the Earth is actually rising over the moon, when, as we all know, the moon is actually stationary with respect to the Earth. But the picture grabbed our attention and gave what's known as the overview effect. And the overview effect is like a cognitive shift. With that one image, we see that life literally is hanging in the void and shielded and nourished by a paper-thin atmosphere. If the Earth were the size of a basketball, the thickness of the atmosphere is like a sheet of saran wrap around it. It is a miracle beyond contemplation, almost. And from space, political boundaries that are so present in our lives, the political boundaries can't be seen, but humanity's broad swath across the surface of the Earth jumps right out every night when the Earth lights up in a way that can be seen from outer space. And with that photo, NASA was responding to Martin Luther King Jr.'s Christmas Eve sermon the year before in 1967. That was the one where King said, "It really boils down to this. All life is interrelated. We are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied into a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. We are made to live together because of the interrelated structure of reality." And so in today's world, we have to ask ourselves, are we made to live together? Yes. And we are also made for competition. This both and nature is the human condition. We are constantly challenged to strike the right balance between tribalism and cooperation. What makes our species Homo sapiens, the wise ones, is education, the process of teaching and learning. And that is why I, as a humanist, celebrate Jesus, the greatest moral teacher of all time. In this shared project of humanity, we are all learning and teaching. We are all giving and receiving insight. With the wisdom that we are the links in the becoming of humanity, we can act in ways that we are blessings to each other and the world. This coronavirus has given us the overview effect. We humans are made to thrive or not with each other together. We will not be free of the coronavirus until we are all free. So let us make that cognitive shift. Let us accept the reality. And in that knowledge, let us act accordingly. Let us find the wisdom to be good neighbors. So may it be.
The shared offering recipient for our Christmas Eve service is always the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry. Founded in 1834, the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry provides ministry at large to disadvantaged youth and families in Boston and offers UUs the opportunity for direct engagement with those struggling for fair and decent lives. Approximately 55 Massachusetts UU congregations provide both financial and volunteer support, viewing this ministry as one of their social action arms in the inner city. UU urban ministry programs include Roxbury Youth Programs, an after-school academic and character building program for at-risk youth. Stand High, Stand United, a weekend and summer exploration and enrichment program for elementary school-age children. Renewal House, a shelter for adults and their children escaping domestic violence. And United Souls, a transitional support program for men facing reentry issues or otherwise dealing with urban life's more difficult challenges. This evening's offering will now be gratefully given and gratefully received.
Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. Thomas Alva Edison. So I'm sharing this quote from Thomas Edison because he was someone who devoted his life to making miracles happen. He didn't give up. Neither should you. Don't give up. Wherever you are, whatever you are experiencing right now, don't give up. It's going to take a miracle for us to get through this season. There is a weight to this time of year that is deeply uncomfortable. It is the weight of conflict. It is the weight of separation. It is the weight of fear. It is the weight of isolation. And it is the weight of loss. I'm describing this as a weight because in my own body, I feel it as a heaviness in my heart. I'm searching for a way to untangle this crushing feeling, and all I can come up with is the fact that it's going to take a miracle to change it. Miracles are fascinating. So many things that were once considered quite literally miracles are now commonplace. Flight, cures from common illness, the potential for longevity, the internet, not to mention refrigeration and indoor plumbing. Descriptions of the future of science from earlier times seem quaint to us now. And what we say about our technology will undoubtedly seem quaint in the future. Someday, mark my words, someone will do a sketch on the 150th season of Saturday Night Live about the need for and the design of the mute button as something hopelessly old-fashioned and inefficient. And here we are today, gathered through a miracle. All of us in separate places, but joined in one virtual space, searching for the miracle of connection. Trying to manage our lives distantly from one another to create a miracle of healing. And we choose this time to come together because of what was regarded by ancient people as a prophetic miracle in the birth of one child. Yes, miracles are fascinating. Sometimes they are not simply about technology, though. Instead, sometimes miracles are present in how we are transformed by our experience of the world. I think of people who have the hard, cold stone of racism in their hearts, but it becomes dislodged, and they are transformed by an experience that reveals the full and divine humanity of someone who is racially different to them. I think of the change in an anti-LGBTQ parent who is misguided in their limited perception by their faith, only to recognize the very same God they worship and love in their transgender child. I think of someone who has regarded mental illness as weakness and frailty and not as an actual illness that deserves treatment and comprehensive care, who then recognizes such an illness as this in themselves or someone they love and becomes an advocate. We are transformed by the miracle of our experience, and more importantly, by the miraculous experience of each other. As a child, I was taught the story of the birth of Jesus in the context of the church. It was for me an obligation and something that just came with having to see grandparents and sing hymns and stay up late on Christmas Eve. It took me until I was a full-blown adult who no longer only identified with the Christian experience to actually have a place to put this story so that I could apply it to my life. I'm sure I'm not alone in this. As we get older, we get more reflective, more contemplative. Obligation turns to observation and exploration. And what is particularly inspiring to me is that as I look at the story of the birth of Jesus, not just on the other side of seminary, but as a growing and aging adult, who, like many of you, has experienced deep loss and euphoric joy, I get something else from it now when I think of it in the context of what miracles really are. I know now, as I hear the story, that anticipation, the anticipation of birth, the anticipation of celebration, and the anticipation of salvation, whatever form that may take for each of us, are bundled up in this one child. And it's part of what makes the desperate journey of Mary and Joseph to find lodging so important. I'm also willing to recognize that the promise represented by the birth of this child is not limited to only the believing Christian, but can be embraced by all of us who regard the birth of new life as the promise of tomorrow. As I grow in my capacity to hold this story with a lighter yet more nuanced touch and a deeper personal meaning, I'm also given the gift of what it means to witness the fulfillment of a prophecy that, though ancient and specific, invites me into a place of great hope. Lastly, this story, particularly on the heels of this challenging year, invites me into an internal conversation about the power and true meaning of redemption. But this is a redemption that does not have to rest solely on sin and forgiveness for its meaning, but is more intricately woven into our day-to-day understanding of how we are called into relationship with our being and how we must always return time and again to what it means to allow ourselves to be called back into relationship with each other, with our physical world, with our spiritual path, with our mortality. We have this miracle today. We have miracles every day. As our world careens from crisis to crisis, from loss to loss, from shock to shock, it is so very important that we don't get forever stuck on these pivot points of sadness, grief, and struggle. What is strung between each of those trying times is a shining thread, a web of connection, a web of anticipation, of promise, of fulfillment, and redemption. And like a web carefully spun, we need the turning points, the joints, to create the tension. We cannot avoid them, but it is the actual fiber of the web itself that dominates the overall picture and gives us the full picture of a vast, shimmering, and glorious life. In so many ways, this Christmas is telling us that it's going to take a miracle. But Christmas also reminds us that we live miracles every day. Be the miracle. May it be so. At this time, we're going to open up the chat with a little bit of music for you to go ahead and share blessings with each other, prayers if you like, good thoughts. and all of those things that bring you into this place of miracles and that will carry you on forward, being the miracle.
See the world through a frosted window pane. Take a look down a snow-covered lane. You know it feels right when you're taking in the sights of Christmas. Chestnuts popping as we sit around the fire, singing carols until we all get tired. Nothing gets you down when you're taking in the sounds of Christmas. So sing with me, raise your voice, sing with me this song of joy. At Christmas, at Christmas, to be with family all joined about the tree, drinking eggnog and reliving memories. It's a wonderful time, be it yours or mine, at Christmas. So sing with me, raise your voice, sing with me this song of joy at Christmas, at Christmas. So sing with me this song of joy. Sing with me, raise your voice in the air. These words are my prayer for the happiness we share at Christmas.
What beautiful messages we see in the chat. And what a beautiful way to transition into our ceremony of light. This year, our ceremony of light is changed by technology, as is everything else, but it is no less meaningful. You are invited now to gather a candle and invited to light it once you start to hear the words from our worship team, Ian, Marcia, Jean, and Jenny, who've been so kind to join us to read tonight. You'll also probably want to view this part of the service once we start the readings in gallery view so that you can see as many screens together as possible. And it's okay if you don't know how to do that. This is your time to shine however you feel comfortable doing so. We will all then, after the readings, sing Silent Night together. And when we finish the song, we will all hold our candles up to the camera for a moment, and then I'll invite you to extinguish them together before I extinguish the lights on our altar behind me. I can't do that, backwards on the screen. Then our time of light, darkness, and silence will come to an end with the distant sound of the church bells ringing. The bells go on for a bit, but it's another time for you to sit and ponder and hold the beauty of this time and this community and all that may be in your life right now. This is a time to reflect, to hold thoughts and memories dear and near, and a time to ponder the future. And so we begin.
In a season of darkness, we yearn for the light. Shorter days make the sun more precious, and we are aware of what we miss in the winter gloom. But we must not forget that darkness is where life is conceived. Darkness is the container, the potential, the promise.
From the darkness of oppression, we find liberation. From the darkness of scorn, we turn to love. From the darkness of ignorance, we are enlightened.
And still, darkness is more than just an absence of light. It is the moment of anticipation that must, eventually, give way to the dawn. It was from the darkness of a stable, warmed by the breath of animals, that the child Jesus was born, bringing a new day of prophecy, salvation, and joy. And so light is born from dark.
And as we gaze in wonder at the light, may we be grateful for its warmth. May we rejoice that it leads the way. May we share this blessing with a weary world. But let us also bring gratitude for the darkness from whence it comes. Darkness that feeds our fear, darkness that begs our patience, but darkness that also rests our souls, that lets us dream, that reminds us to trust and to test our faith. It is the darkness that holds the light, letting it shine when the time is just right.
And now I invite us all to sing the hymn Silent Night as it plays on the screen. as we revel in this flickering atmosphere, let us remember that the light of love must first be felt in the heart. And now I'm going to invite you to extinguish your candles and embrace the darkness, holding their glow, their potential, their promise in our hearts for joy to be born. When I blow out my candle, I will invite you to also blow out your candles, after which I will extinguish the chalice, our native indigenous candle. We'll hold for a brief moment, and then you will hear the bells of the church ringing. And so we extinguish our candles. And now, won't you join us all together in singing our final hymn, Joy to the World?
Let
And so our Christmas Eve service comes to a close. But our love for one another, our commitment to community, our commitment to all that is beautiful in this world, no matter how hard it is to get there, does not end. This is the season of miracles. You are the miracle. Go in peace. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and have a very, very blessed holiday season. Thank you.